Namaste, aloha. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita as it is class. My name is Janapati Das, and I am so happy to have you here. Please accept my respects, everyone. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master and to my spiritual grandfather. And we will start off our class. We are reading from chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. And we are going to chant a little bit. So please join along. Always bathe yourself in the sounds of Krishna's names every day. So special. Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Was born in the darkness, ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Okay, we are continuing through chapter 9, titled The Most Confidential Knowledge. And there's a lot of discussion in these chapters about the different the followers of different paths and God realization, those who follow and worship the demigods and seek to achieve heavenly planets, and what happens that basically these are all Krishna's energies, and Krishna facilitates whatever the living entity desires. So we had left off at text 20. This is text 21. Tetam bhuktava svargalokam vishalam kishine punya ye marchalokam vishtanti. Shanti. Evam trayi dharmam anupra prana gata gatam kama kama labante. They tam that bhuktava enjoying svarga lokam heaven, vishalam vast, kishine being exhausted, punye merits, marcha lokam mortal earth, vishanti fall down, evam thus three Vedas, dharmam doctrines, anuprapana following, gata agatam death and birth, kama kamaha desiring sense enjoyment, labante attain. When they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense pleasure, they return to this mortal planet. Thus, through the Vedic principles, they achieve only flickering happiness. So all this work, you get to go to a more enjoyable material place, but it is flickering, temporary, and maybe better than what we're experiencing now, but not much, and especially when it comes to an end. Purport: one who is promoted to these higher planetary systems enjoys a longer duration of life and better facilities for sense enjoyment, yet one is not allowed to stay there forever. One is again sent back to this earthly planet upon finishing the resultant fruits of pious activities. He who has attained perfection of knowledge as indicated in the Vedanta Sutra Janmadi Ashayata, or in other words, he who fails to understand Krishna, the cause of all causes, becomes baffled in achieving the ultimate goal of life and is thus subjected to the routine of being promoted to a higher planets and then again coming down as if situated on a Ferris wheel, which sometimes goes up and sometimes comes down. So it's like, the Ferris wheel is like, those of you who have not been to a carnival, it's a big circular thing. You sit in it and you go just like up and down, up and down, up and down, way up and then back down again, and it goes in circles. It's a perfect analogy. The purport is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world where there is no longer any possibility of coming down, one simply revolves in the cycle of birth and death on higher and lower planetary systems. And this is stated in the Bhagavad Gita: those who returned to Krishna never return to this material world of death, right? This is stated right in the Bhagavad Gita. One should better take to the spiritual world to enjoy eternal life full of bliss and knowledge and never return to this miserable material existence. Text 22. Ananyaschintayanto mam ye janaha paryubashate tesham nishabhi yuktanam yoga kashemam vahamni aham anya no other chintayantaha concentrating mam unto me ye who jana persons Paru Pashate, properly worship, Tesham there. Nicha always, Abhi Yuktanam, fixed in devotion. Yoga Kshemam, requirements. Vahami, carry. Aham, I. So, of course, we see these words again, Yukta and Yoga, very similar words. Yoga is the practice, Yoga is the activity, and it also means to be connected, yoking, right? Yuktaha, to connect, or yoga, to connect. It goes to the word to yoke, the animal, where you would connect the animal, right, in English. Other words are very interesting. Chintayantaha. And yanta really has to do with a reflection, but in this case it is chinta yantaha. You can concentrating. So one can be concentrating on so many things, but because of the references in this particular part of the Bhagavad Gita, it is concentrating on Krishna, on your relationship with Krishna. And this is our translation. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. So, very wonderful. We don't have to really rely upon, even a little bit of devotion to Krishna is appreciated by Krishna. And Krishna here is appreciative of the love that we offer him. So he will carry us and he will preserve that which we have. For those who are engaging in the practice of bhakti yoga or sadhana bhakti. One purport, one who is unable to live a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Let me go through those again, because they're those, and if you haven't already written these down, this is a very key to meditate upon, because these are the 9 processes of devotional service. There's hearing, of course, right? Hearing is very Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam. Hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies. Indeed, they make the devotee perfect in self-realization. Even it's said if one is perfect in just one of those processes of devotion, that's all they need. Then his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. There, Bhaktivedanta is also stating the same thing. Kashema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. That's a really beautiful word. Did I miss that? In this, oh, it's not in here. Maybe it's in the previous verse. Kashema. Huh. That's interesting. Maybe it was in a previous verse. Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition of life. Yeah, we take shelter of Krishna. It is the merciful protection of Krishna. Krishna is our ultimate protection. We're an infallible soldier. We're all things that fail to give us protection. Krishna never fails us. Text 23. Yapi anya devata bhakta yanjante shraddhayan vitaha tepi mam eva kaunteya yanjanti avijji purvakam. Yea, those, api, also, anya, other, devata, demigods, bhaktaha, devotees, yajante, worship, shraddha, anvita, with faith, I like that. They, api, also, mam, me, eva, even, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, yajanti, sacrifice, avijji, purvaka, in a wrong way. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone. But it is offered without true understanding. So this is the story of the Govardhan Hill. Krishna was making it so that the residents of Vrindavan would be offering all their sacrifices to Krishna and to Govardhan Hill, or Krishna and the representation of the Govardhan Hill and the representatives of Krishna, the cows and the brahmanas. And we've talked about the word yajna, which means sacrifice, and the name of Krishna is also yajna, because all sacrifices are due to Krishna, even if they are offered to the demigods. Many times they're offered to demigods without true understanding, as is stated here, because they are really meant for Krishna. Persons who are engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent. Although such worship is done to me indirectly, Krishna said. For example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so with sufficient knowledge, without sufficient knowledge, or without observing regulative principles. So yeah, anybody who has any kind of knowledge understands that when you pour water, you can't pour water on the leaves and the trees and expect them to grow. You have to pour the water on the root, and the root absorbs the water and distributes the nutrition to all the parts of the tree. Similarly, Krishna is the root of all the plants of the material and spiritual worlds. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as a vijji purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods. So, really, all sacrifices and all things belong to Krishna, and this is Bhaktivedanta saying that really people who are worshiping demigods are not very intelligent, because they're trying to sort of get the Krishna's offerings for their own enjoyment through the agency of bribing the demigods. Of course, the demigods have a particular role in all of this too. for those who do not want to surrender to Krishna. So there's that too. Text 24. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokya cha prabhur eva cha natu mam abhijananti tatvena tashya vantite. Aham I, he surely, sarva of all, yajnanam, sacrifices, bhokta, enjoyer, cha and prabhu, Lord, eva also, cha and na, not tu, but mam, me, abhijananti, no, tatvena, in reality, ataha, therefore, chayavanti, fall down, te, they. I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So the offering sacrifices to the demigods for the sake of just the enjoying, I guess you could say, is not really any different than trying to steal all the, not even offer the demigods. Not really. I mean, there is a little bit more devotion there. The processes for different degrees are to elevate people, to help people come to a higher realization later on, but they will fall down. They will not achieve Krishna consciousness, is what's really being stated here. Here it is clearly stated that there are many types of yajna performances recommended in the Vedic scriptures, but actually all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord. Yajna means Vishnu. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that one should only work for satisfying Yajna or Vishnu. The perfectional form of human civilization known as Varnashram Dharma is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna says in this verse, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I am the Supreme Master. However, less intelligent persons, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he would thus achieve the desired results. So smarter Hindus, I should say, will actually understand that Vishnu is the source, is yajna, is the source of all sacrifices, so they will pray to Lord Vishnu for their material benefits. But here it's stated is not pure devotion. Beyond that is praying to Krishna for pure love of God. Text 25. Yanti deva vrata devan pirtan yanti pirta vrataha putani yanti bhuteja yanti madhya jinno pimam yanti achieve. Deva vrataha, worshippers of the demigods. Devan, two demigods. Pitarn, two ancestors. Yanti, go. Pitar vrataha, worshippers of ancestors. Bhutani, two ghosts and spirits. Yanti, go. Bhutejya, worshippers of ghosts and spirits. Yanti, go. Matmai, yajinaha, devotees. Api, also. Mam, unto me. Translation. Text 25. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors will go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. So, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada had another book about that, to travel the planets, I think. So it was called Easy Travel to Planets or something, something like that. I have that copy, I can find it. It's not really, it's not like very abstract, like, many Christian, Judeo-Christian, Islamic, they're like, there's God, and then there's Satan and you go to hell or you go to heaven. And it's like there's a multifarious level of places where one can go depending on where they're putting their devotion. So there are people and there are animistic religions out there that worship spirits and ghosts. I've seen those. I've been to Africa, and I was invited way out in the jungle to observe an Yeve cult 3-day ceremony. Yeve cult, for those of you who don't know, are same general African animistic traditions like Yoruba and the Vedun, things that have transferred when the diaspora came over from African slaves to the Americas. Vedun are like voodoo or candomblé, these different kind of animistic spirits, traditions, worships of spirits and whatnot. These are still practiced. When the slaves came over to America, they tried to cover it with Catholicism, and they named all the Catholic saints after their different demigods and spirits. So there was names of Saint so-and-so, Saint Barbara, and they had like particular similarities to their animistic gods. But these are really real things. I've actually seen the possession, drumming and possession. They have the chicken where they cut the necks of the chicken. They have small little statuettes of rocks with little things in the eyes. They're kind of creepy, a little creepy. I have pictures of that. People under possession of different spirits. So people like this, they worship in ghosts and spirits. So they will in their next life, through their devotion, go to these places. But frankly, I don't want to be in the place of the mode of ignorance. I'd rather be in Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. And there are a lot of people who worship their ancestors to give better, benediction to their ancestors. But these are all temporary stayovers, right? And it says here, those who worship me will live with me. So I'd rather be with Krishna, I tell you. I mean, this looks much more fun than being around a bunch of ghosts and spirits. Yeah, thank you. If anyone has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet, one can attain the desired destination by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose. These are vividly described in the fruitive activities portions of the Vedas. So the Vedas have a lot of things for people with different kinds of desires, and this was handed down through the Torah and the Quran, ways for people to live in specific ways in the material world. But the Karma Kanda part of the Vedas is not really what devotees of Krishna are very interested in. Technically known as Darsha Purnamasha, which recommend a specific worship of demigods situated on different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain the Pita planets by performing a specific yajna. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets, become a yaksha, raksha, or pishaka. Pishaka worship is called black arts or black magic. So, like I said, black magic, white magic, witches. My time in Africa, I saw lots of things like this. In Africa, West Africa, they would call these marbles, and they had been cloaked by Islam, because Islam had predominantly, taken over in a lot of West Africa. But when you look, it's interesting, because when I one time saw they have these marabouts, and they're witch doctors, basically, is what they are. And so they don't really call them witch doctors. They're actually marabouts, and they're mixed with Islam, so they portray that as like being a holy person or whatever. But if by some reason you need some kind of juju or some kind of thing to protect your child, or to cast bad spells on other people, or to protect you from bad things, you go to the Marbu, and they do all these kind of so-called mantras, whatever they are. But I did one time when I was there, observe the local Marbu's graph, and I realized later on, I didn't notice this because I saw when I looked at it, it was like this design, and there was Arabic all written in these geometrical patterns, and I realized later that those are yajnas, not yajnas, yantras, not yajnas sacrifice, yantras, which is another thing, and that's related to what's being taught here about Pishkaka worship, or people who want to have mystic powers or whatnot. So it's very interesting. The Vedic system was part of Africa, so this was obviously carried through into Africa. There are many men who practice this black art, and they think that it is spiritualism, but such activities are completely materialistic. Similarly, a pure devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead only achieves the planets of Vaikuntha and Krishna Loka without a doubt. It is very easy to understand through this important verse that if by simply worshiping the demigods one can achieve the heavenly planets, or by worshiping the Pita achieve the Pita planets, or by practicing the black arts achieve the ghostly planets, why can the pure devotee not achieve the planet of Krishna or Vishnu? Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live, and because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahmajyoti. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society, to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. So despite all these things, one can chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind. Chant. Okay, so text 26. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaksya prayachati tadaham bhakti uparitam ashnami prayatatmanaha. Patram, a leaf, pushpam, a flower, phalam, a fruit, toyam, water, ya, whoever, may, unto me, bhaktya, with devotion, prayachati, offers, tat, that, aham, I, bhakti uparatam, offered in devotion, ashnami, accept, prayata atmanaha, one in pure consciousness. And of course, a popular verse that we re-quote so often, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Very beautiful. So this thus comes to the crux of the Bhagavad Gita and the message of the Bhagavad Gita, that one offers me, and it doesn't say just offer me a fruit, a flower, and leaf, and water, and lots of gold. The more you offer me in materially, the more you're going to rack up the, heavenly planet bankroll, which is what is the kind of thing. It's like people think if they do good merit, they'll be able to have something. It's this idea of like fruitive activity. What is the devotee offering to Krishna? He's offering love and devotion. This is the Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God. Please give your love and devotion to me, surrender to me. And so, this is why we offer leaves and flowers and fruits and drinks and whatnot. Krishna will accept the offering given in love and devotion. Purport here, Lord Krishna, having established that he is the only enjoyer, the primeval Lord, And the real object of all sacrificial offerings reveals what types of sacrifices he desires to be offered. If one wishes to engage in devotional service to the Supreme in order to be purified and to reach the goal of life, the transcendental loving service of God, then he should find out what the Lord desires of him. Yeah, if you really want to come to know someone, you find out what they want, what they love, what they like getting from you. You know, some women like to have flowers or candy or whatever. Some people like the devotion too, you know. So you need to find these things out, and you find these things out through the scriptures, through the pure devotee of Krishna, who is a dear devotee and friend of Krishna. It's kind of like if you know somebody, it's like the man who wants to, you know, has a coworker, and she's like, oh, or his sister, you know, and she's like, oh, I know this girl. She really, I think you really would like her. And then the guy is like, well, what's she like? What is she like? You know, and then she tells her, oh, she likes, you know, walks on beaches, and she likes to read poetry or whatever, you know. So it's not like, you know, oh, you know, I'm going to do what I want to do. I will go to the football game, you know. I'll take her to the football game, you know, because that's what I like to do, right? So, but, you know, in a relationship, the person is trying to find out what the other person likes. And so one who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants, and he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked for. Thus, meat, fish, and eggs should not be offered to Krishna. So when they'll offer a T-bone steak or scrambled eggs or whatever, Krishna doesn't want those things because it causes suffering of his cows and friends. And so we offer what, you know, and if Krishna had said, I want meat, fish, or eggs, then we wouldn't be vegetarians, you know. But this is the main reason why we're vegetarians, why we don't offer eggs, because Krishna doesn't like it, doesn't want it. If he so desired such as an offering, he would have said so. Instead, he clearly requests that a leaf, fruit, flower, and water be given to him. And he says this of offering, I will accept it. Therefore, we should understand that he will not accept meat, fish, and eggs. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk, and water are the proper foods for human beings and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him, since he will not accept it. Thus, we cannot be acting on the level of loving devotion if we offer such foods. And Krishna loves cream and milk and butter, and, you know, the stories are packed full of Krishna eating butter and ghee and cream and yogurt, and Krishna loves dairy, yeah, except for eggs. In the third chapter, verse 13, Sri Krishna explains that only the remains of sacrifice are purified and fit for consumption by those who are seeking advancement in life and release from the clutches of the material entanglement. So we call that prasadam, which means God's mercy. So that it's kind of like stated that when you have an iron pole and you stick it into fire, it may start out as having a different property, but when you stick it into the fire, it eventually takes on the same quality of the fire. So similarly, when we offer in love and devotion, fruit, flower, leaf, different things, it becomes prasadam because it's been accepted, it's been eaten or taken by Krishna, and the part returned, the purified part, is given back to us through God's unlimited mercy. This is why it's called God's mercy, because it helps release us from the clutches of material entanglement. It purifies our heart. Those who do not make an offering of their food, he says in the same verse, are to be eating only sin. And this is also just on a level a very good thing that people don't really do anymore. They just jump in and they don't really take the opportunity to be grateful for what they're receiving. You know, even when I was being raised as a Catholic, we would do grace and we would thank the Lord for the food that we were offered before we ate it. So it at least gives us an opportunity to appreciate the things that God is providing for us while we're in this material world. But prasadam is on a different level. And there is a story that my god brother Jivan Krishnadas used to tell me that points to the difference between being grateful for what God gives us, thanking God for things and praying for things from God, and offering things to God. And that is, the story goes like this. There's a father, and the father has two sons. When the father goes to the store, he decides he's going to buy ice cream because he knows his sons love ice cream. So he buys a vanilla ice cream for his sons, but he also buys a raspberry sorbet for himself because he likes raspberry sorbet. Well, now when they get home, he's like, oh, I have something for you guys. So the first son, which is like the typical religious Christian, Judeo-Christian, Islamic, the actual average religious person, who was very happy to see that their father had bought them ice cream, just immediately, thank you, Daddy, thank you so much, and hugs him and scoops up his ice cream and goes and he takes it. So that's fine. That's good. That's good. We should be grateful. But then the second son, which is the devotee of God, the devotee of Krishna, the pure devotee of Krishna, sees the vanilla ice cream and is very excited and happy that his father has bought him that, but also sees that his father has bought himself raspberry sorbet. And so he immediately thinks, I want to please my father by serving my father. And the ice cream was already bought by the father, and it's understood that everything is already owned by Krishna, but Krishna allows us the opportunity to use those things in his service and love, because he wants to love. So then he serves up the raspberry sorbet before he goes to his own ice cream, and he goes to his father and he says, look, here, Daddy, I made you a bowl of your raspberry sorbet because I know you like it. And the father is very pleased with that attitude of being service before their own pleasure. So that's a little bit of a different tinge. It's not a bad thing to be grateful for those things. You should be grateful for those things that God provides us. You should be thankful for the things that God gives us in the material world. But we should also remember that the attitude of service to Krishna, what can I do that will please God? What can I do to give my devotion to God first? Even if it means sacrificing the things that I like to do, which is really what devotion to God really means. In the third chapter, verse 13, Sri Krishna explains that only the remains of sacrifice are purified and fit for consumption by those who are seeking advancement in life and release from the clutches of material entanglement. Those who do not make an offering of their food, he says in the same verse, are said to be eating only sin. In other words, their very mouthful is simply deepening their involvement in the complexities of material nature, but preparing nice, simple vegetable dishes, offering them before the picture or deity of Lord Krishna, and bowing down and praying for him to accept such a humble offering enables one to advance steadily in life, purifying the body, and to create fine brain tissues which will lead to clear thinking. This is actually even prasadam. This is what happens. Above all, the offering should be made with an attitude of love. With an attitude of love. It's not just the offering that matters, but the whole love and devotion that we're going to do. God has no need of food, since he already possesses everything that be. Yet he will accept the offering of one who desires to please him in that way. The important element in preparation and serving an offering is the act with love for Krishna. And an important point to understand is, why do we offer our food to Krishna? We offer our food to take away the sinful reactions that are connected with that food. So you can be eating a vegetarian diet, and it is a lot supposedly more merciful, that you're not killing cows and chickens and fish and whatnot to eat them. But there's still killing involved in vegetarian diet quite a bit. You know, a lot of living entities that get killed in the process of farming and whatnot. But we offer that, and this is why somebody can be making a vegetarian dish and eating it, because they want to offer it. They're thinking they're being a better moral person, but they're still not offering it to God. So therefore, the sinful reactions are still connected. This is a key point to remember, that the activities that we do in this material world, in that they are not done in the devotion to God, they are accruing sin, karmic reactions. So it could be anything, you know. It could be driving your car to work, you know. If you're not driving your car to work in the process of serving God, you're just doing it to try to make food for your, you know, enjoyment for yourself. You're accruing all the sin that all the living entities that are dying in the process of driving your car. So we do everything for Krishna. That is the point. This is our offering. We do it in love, and it all becomes an offering. So it's the fruit, the flower, the leaf. Is not just, it's more symbolic. We can offer fruit, flowers, and leaves, but we can also offer our life, our talents, our time. This is what Krishna is asking. Please make this flower that you're offering me your ability as a warrior to kill people. That's his, you know, I want you to engage in that activity as you're offering, as you're putting your lei over my head. So this is the point. The impersonalist philosophers, the important element in preparation and serving and offering is act with love for Krishna. The impersonalist philosophers who wish to maintain that the absolute truth is without senses cannot comprehend this verse of Bhagavad Gita. To them, it is either a metaphor or proof of the mundane character of Krishna, the speaker of the Gita, but in actuality, Krishna, the Supreme Godhead, has senses, and it is stated that his senses are interchangeable. In other words, one sense can perform the function of any other. This is what it means to say that Krishna is absolute. Lacking senses, he could hardly be considered full in all opulences. In the 7th chapter, Krishna has explained that he impregnates the living entities into material nature. This is done by his looking upon material nature. And so, in this instance, Krishna's hearing the devotee's words of love in offering foodstuff is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. That's amazing. So Krishna is taking in the love, which is just absolutely beautiful. And I've read this so many times, and this is a realization. Let me read that part again. And so in this instance, in the 7th chapter, Krishna has explained that he impregnates the living entities into material nature. This is done by his looking upon material nature. And so in this instance, Krishna's hearing the devotee's words of love in offering foodstuff is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. That's amazing. This point should be emphasized. Because of his absolute position, his hearing is wholly identical with his eating and tasting. Only the devotee who accepts Krishna as he describes himself without an interpretation can understand that the supreme absolute truth can eat food and enjoy it. I'll read one more verse. Text 27. Yat karoshi yad ashnashi Yaj juhoshi dadashi yat tapashyashi konteya tat kurushva mad aparnam. Yat what karoshi, you do, yat whatever, ashni, you eat, yat whatever, juhoshi, you offer, dadashi, you give away, yat whatever, tapashyashi, austerities you perform, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, tat, that, Kurushva, make, mat, unto me, arpanam, offering. Translation, text 27. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. This is an amazing 2 verses, because this expands upon what is said in the previous verses to what we're talking about, is that all that you do, you surrender to Krishna and you offer as an offering. Krishna is telling Arjuna the austerities that you have to deal with on your battlefield, the activities of doing your devotion, especially to doing this. There's being no attachment to the outcome of this. These are all the lay that's being offered. So in your life, what they're telling the devotee of Krishna, they're telling us, is that everything that we do as an offering to Krishna. So I'm giving this class. This is my offering to Krishna, to my Guru Dev. I put the lay on and I try to do this. I try to share the message of the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic literatures like the Krishna book and Sri Ishopanishad. This is something we can all do. There's nothing too small or too wonderful depending on the devotion. You can just even have a little altar of Krishna, and you can grow a little tulsi plant and cut tulsi and talk to tulsi and, say, I'm going to offer you to Krishna, and you could chant a little bit, learn a little ukulele or something and chant. These are all offerings with your devotion. It will help you come closer to Krishna. Thus, it is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstances. So, when I was teaching, there were the four steps of meditation. And of course, the first meditation was the basic meditation kind of things we do, like japa and kirtan and gauranga breathing, and how to apply that in your time, in your life. But eventually you get to a class that just shows how you can make your life into the meditation. Because initially when you start, you may come into this meditation practice and you may think, oh, I'll just do meditation as, like in the morning, a little bit in the morning, and then, do everything else in my life. But you find that Krishna is very greedy for your love and your time. Krishna wants you to give your life to him. So he makes it so you mold your life in such a way that you will not forget Krishna. You're always thinking about Krishna. What can I do for Krishna? What can I do for my spiritual master? Everyone has to work for maintenance of his body and soul together, and Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. So stop working for yourself, You can do these things for yourself, but dovetail it to Krishna's will. Everyone has to eat something to live, therefore he should accept the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna. It's not a very difficult thing to do, to say, Krishna, please accept this food before you eat it, It's much, it's a much nicer thing. Here, it's like, offering somebody the first food when you make food, It's like, in this case, it's the Supreme Lord. You're offering the Lord of your house, the Lord of your life. Please, Krishna, I've made this food. Please accept this remnants of food, and then I will eat the remnants and be benefited. Any civilized man has to perform some religious. Everyone has to eat something to live, and therefore he should accept the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna. Any civilized man has to perform some religious, ritualistic ceremonies, therefore Krishna recommends, do it for me. And this is called a chana. Everyone has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna says, give it to me. And this means that all surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering the Krishna consciousness movement. Nowadays, people are very much inclined to the meditational process, which is not practical in this age. But if anyone practices meditation on Krishna 24 hours by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra around his beads, he is surely the greatest yogi, as substantiated by the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And I think that's what we're going to end there tonight. So thank you very much. We'll see you next time.